Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the November 18th edition of Courtside with Coach Crist. I'm Greg Crist. It's my good buddy Dave Gorby and my co-host. And we are again in the gutter tonight, Dave, at Pinheads on the Gorge. Mm-hmm. And this is our old standby place that we like to come to, especially on Thursday nights at Ladies' Night. And women are in here racking them up.
There's a few of them in here.
No, a bunch of them. Yeah. I said, I think, and I think every one of them brought their own car. Because there's no place to park.
I had to park out back.
Yeah, no place to park between here and Route 19. So, yeah, it looks like a football game going on in here tonight. So everybody brought their own vehicle. But, yeah, they play. They got the Women's League to here on Thursday night, so it's always rocking in here. Nice atmosphere in here, nice food, good cold beverages. So if you want to come down and have something good to eat, no place better.
Hopefully Darren will share his pizza this week.
He always gets that good-looking pizza over, man.
And brings it right out before the show.
And then I notice every now and then he does a little fan wave over here towards me and you.
It's dirty, man.
Tormenting us. Tormenting us.
Dirty.
But yeah, if you want a good pizza, get some good food, come on over here to Pinheads on the Gorge. We're on Jones Avenue. That's where it's located at. And as you can hear, a lot of activity going on in here, bowling going on, a lot of pizza eating, sandwich eating, beer drinking, pop drinking, whatever you want. They got it here, so it's a nice place to be. We are glad to be back here. We always enjoy it here. Last week we was over at Hill and Holler Pizza in Lewisburg. That was a pretty cool place.
Yeah, that was a nice place. We had packed in there before the show for the meet the team thing, and then did our own thing in there afterwards.
Yep.
But
had a nice studio audience.
That's a good local joint.
That's right.
Over in Lewisburg.
Yep. So we were talking before we come on air, we're going to try to kind of get a little routine where we have a rotation of places that we go, because we like to advertise for the places and tell everybody how good it is and invite them to come out, so it's good advertisement for them. So we thought we'd try to rotate it around a little bit so we're not going to the same place over and over and over and trying to help them all out. So we'll let you know about that as time goes on. But we are from Pinheads tonight. Good place. Last week over at Hill and Holler, we had a great guest on the show. Warren Baker, WVU Hall of Famer, was on with us, and that was a fantastic interview and a lot of fun. Tonight we got another guy on that was a WVU great. Who knows? Maybe a Hall of Famer one day. You never know. Darryl Truck Bryant is on the show with us tonight, so we're excited about that. We did interviewed him one time on the radio a few years back when we were doing the show on the radio only, and he was a great interview. He was a lot of fun and very entertaining. So we're looking forward to talking to Truck Bryant tonight. We also like to mention that we do a Gino's Pizza Courtside with Coach Crist Athlete of the Week every week for one of our local high school, middle school athletes, band participants, cheerleaders, soccer players, whatever they are. And last week's winner was a young man by the name of Caleb Clark from Nicholas County High School, Nicholas County football. We'll announce this week's winner when we come back after our break. Then we'll have couple other surprises for you as we go through the night. Won't really be surprised anymore because we kind of do the same thing every week, but always fun to do that. But anyway, we got playoff games coming up this weekend, as we did last weekend, and we did the game over in Lewisburg between Greenbrier East and George Washington. Pretty good football game, and but everybody, in playoff action last week. So we got the second round of the playoffs kicking off tomorrow night. And Gorb, I know you like to follow these things and you watch them closely. So what we're going to do here for about the next 5-10 minutes is let you go through the matchups and
I'll try.
Give us, there you go. Give us what you think. You can't expect to be Rusty Udy, but hey, you can be Dave Gorby.
Well, let's call him up right now.
That's what we should we? All right, in AAA. First game we got listed is number 9 George Washington. We watched him last week against Greenbrier East, taking on the number 1 ranked Huntington Highlanders.
How big were they?
They were big. They were huge.
Did you think they were bigger than Cabell Midland?
Yes, I did.
I
thought they were. I thought. Now I didn't think they were as skilled, maybe, or as quick.
Physical is what I thought. Because G-Dub was somebody that we scrimmaged actually. I mean, still physical, just not as physical.
And the thing that surprised me about them was the fact that they threw the ball so much. They got their quarterback back, and they threw it a bunch, which surprised me. But anyway, GW, pretty good team. I have not seen Huntington, so I don't know about them.
Huntington being number 1, that means they went through the MSAC. They're undefeated, right?
Yep.
And I think their main player is Lancho, maybe Gavin Lancho. I think that sounds close, but he's kind of their Mr. Do Everything. And like I said, they went through the MSAC. They're undefeated, so there's a reason why they're number 1 right now.
Yep, kind of hard to go against them. And, number 7, Spring Valley, looking for their 3rd straight victory over Martinsburg, number 2.
And that's the key thing now. The difference is they got to go to Martinsburg for this game, even though Martinsburg just came to them just a couple weeks ago and Spring Valley beat them. Spring Valley, Ty Barnum is their Mr. Do Everything on that team. Martinsburg has a couple, though. They got the Clement brothers. So that that's going to be interesting, just because they beat Martinsburg last year to end the streak, and they just beat Martinsburg just a couple weeks ago. So we'll see how it's not the rubber match. It's just
they seem to have come up with a formula to beat Martinsburg. It's been kind of strange, really, but Martinsburg's got some serious revenge on their mind. So and when Martinsburg is right, they're usually right. So we'll see what happens with that. With number 6, Jefferson, taking on number 3, Bridgeport.
Bridgeport, they're nothing fancy with them. They run it right at you. They have a Cole kid is their main back. And, Jefferson's kind of the new kid to the territory, being up in there. I think their only loss is to Martinsburg this year. And I think they have a Tool kid is a running back, and they got a couple receivers. I can't think of their names. I'm sorry about that.
That's all right. That might be a pretty interesting game. I think that'd be a fun game to watch.
Jefferson beat Hurricane last week in the 6-11 matchup. I thought that was an interesting matchup because Hurricane kind of gets after Spring Valley and Cabell Midland and Huntington. Hurricane kind of gets lost in that. But they beat a good Hurricane team and earned the right to go to Bridgeport and play them this week.
And in AAA, your top 7 seeds all advanced. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. The only one that didn't was 8, and number 9 beat 8. So not much different there. GW, good football team. Anyway, on Saturday, Cabell Midland. You've seen Cabell Midland taking on University, which you also got to see up close.
This is this is interesting because I thought, man, can University just kind of like Bridgeport, man? There's nothing fancy about Cabell Midland. They'll run it right at you. Right. Can University stop that? And then my other thing is University's spread it out, and man, they'll throw. I mean, they'll throw that post route. They'll throw a go route. And they try to trick you. They'll show something underneath to get that post route to bring that safety up. They just disguise a lot. So University got their quarterback back last week, or no, is getting back this week. He's been out. His first game out was against us. So that's an interesting matchup. Cabell Midland is probably the most physical team that we played, but man, University they have a lot of team speed.
That might be the best matchup of all of them in AAA.
And that's a 4 or 5 matchup. There you go.
It should be. In AA, first game we got listed number 1. Or number 2, Independence taking on number 10, Roane County. I personally think that will be a bloodbath. Being our area, we've heard a lot about Independence this year, and Atticus Goodson, he's the man. I think his little brother is a pretty good football player. They got a Price kid that's pretty good, and Roane County, they're in an area of the state that you really don't hear too much. They actually run the wing T offense, and they have 2,000-yard rushers. But did they only beat Nicholas by like a touchdown? It was 18-15.
I seen film on Roane County earlier. I think it was against Lincoln County, and those 2 backs are pretty good. And they're going to have to bring it against Independence now.
I think, like I said, that's going to be trouble for Roane County. I don't think they know what they're in for. So, another matchup, Frankfort. I don't know much about them. 7-4 taking on number 5. Polka. That's a 5-13 game. Polka comes in at 8-2.
Frankfort. What's Frankfurt's ranking?
13.
They kind of just snuck into the playoffs. They played Kaiser the last game, and it was basically a playoff game. The winner of that in the last week had to win it to get in, and Frankfurt I guess being in a big game on week 11 helped them get that victory last week. I think they beat Lincoln is who they beat. They went to Lincoln and won. A lot of controversy this week with Polka. Payne, their main player, got ejected during the game, but I think he appealed it and he won they won it, so he's going to play this week.
Yep. All right, Saturday, a team you're familiar with, Bluefield. I think the sleeper in AA. I don't think they're a sleeper. I think everybody knows about them, but they come in ranked, seated as the number 14 team. They take on number 6 North Marion.
I tell you, I watched they played Point Pleasant last week. Point was the third-ranked team, and the only reason Bluefield is not up there is because they didn't
play.
They had to take a month off
Yep.
from playing, and right when we played them, I think Fred had them. They came back. You think about it, they came back. Well, they lost to Graham 31-0. Well, that was their first game back, and Graham been playing all those games. So it's basically playing your first game, and how those first game mistakes happen.
Yep.
I felt like when they started playing us, they were starting to kind of get in the flow, and it just seems like Fred has that team rolling.
Oh, yeah. Yep. Bluefield's scary team in AA, as they always are. Number 16, Fairmont Senior. They knock off the 1 seed, which, I don't know. I guess it was a shocker. I don't know.
Well, Fairmont was kind of in the same situation. I think they didn't have a month layoff.
Right.
But I think they only played 8 games. Do they only got 9 games on their coach?
Yep.
They only played 8 games, and they're kind of young. They have an Irish kid, and I can't think of the other kid's name, but there was a couple games where they didn't play together. One was banged up, and the other was healthy, and that one got banged up. And they lost to good teams. I think they lost to University. They lost to Bridgeport. So they've played some good teams. They beat Robert C. Byrd earlier in the year. Now, the interesting thing about Robert C. Byrd is Jeremiah King. Right. I think he has 1,900 yards. He's just south of 7,000 career yards, and he rushed for 330 yards against Fairmont earlier in the year. So this is going to be a good game.
Yep, should be a good one. That's number 16 versus number 8.
Yep.
So in single A, number 7 James Monroe takes on number 2 Doddridge County.
The funny thing is, I used to be all about single A, and I really
don't know much about it.
Don't know much about it.
Well, I watched the Doddridge game. Mm-hmm. Of course, I was helping broadcast, but I was watching the trail game on the screen, and I'll be honest with you, I wasn't overly impressed with Doddridge. But the one thing I thought they did, they were very well schooled. In other words, they didn't make a lot of mistakes. They just come out and line up, and they run the ball straight at you, and they just run it 3 or 4 yards, 3 or 4 yards, 3 or 4 yards. Rarely, if ever, throw the ball. I think they threw 6 passes or 7 passes in that game. Trail. I mean, it was a lot closer game than what the score indicated. It was 24-21 with 5.5 minutes to go in the game. Trail scooped up what they thought was an interception, run it back for a touchdown. Could have taken the lead. That was negated. Officials blew the whistle on that, and then Dodgers drove one down, scored. Kicked off, Trail fumbled, Doddridge scored again before the game ended.
Just snowball.
Yeah, it made it look like a lopsided game, but it was a pretty close game. So, Doddridge just wasn't. They just didn't jump out at you. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And James Monroe, I know. James Monroe. They've struggled a little bit at times this year, but they look pretty good when they played.
I think they've lost to Liberty and Nicholas County, two AA teams that was in the playoffs. So
that should be a pretty good ball game too. I think it will be anyway. Number 6 Williamstown takes on East Hardy. I don't know much about that one either.
Well, Williamstown beat West last week, and just talking about West had Ty Nickel, the big rusher over there. I think Williamstown had 2,000-yard rushers on that team. So it's Williamstown. They're always up there.
Yeah, they're always good.
And East Hardy, we went up to East Hardy a couple years ago. It was a fun day. They beat Meadowbridge. It was a pretty good score.
Pretty big route.
So
they must be decent. Again, teams you don't see very often. Mount View and Ritchie County. The number 5 and number 4 matchup, 10-1 versus 10-1. Again, if you would ask me, is Mount View in the playoffs? I said I don't think so, but they're 5th seed in the playoffs, so shows you how much I pay attention to the single A.
Ritchie County is one of those teams that dropped the single A, and they've been kind of right in that spot where they're at, like 4th or 5th in the single A playoffs. It seems like every year. They have a Morrison kid. He actually led the state in scoring last year, and I think he led the state again this year.
Yeah.
So
We'll see. Again, don't know a whole lot about them, but we'll try to watch some and figure them out. 16 Gilmer County, they knock off the number 1 seed again. I don't know if you call that a surprise or not. Gilmer County was a pretty good team. Had some injury issues, had some COVID issues.
Yes.
Lost late in the season to Meadowbridge, barely stayed in there at 16. Then they knock off a number 1 seed.
Cameron was undefeated. Great year.
Yeah.
Great year.
Yep.
People kind of talked about the schedule a little bit. And I don't think necessarily, it was their fault, because you look who they played, they kind of played everybody around them.
Yeah.
I mean, it wasn't like I don't think they went hiding against anybody. And I just think, like you said, Gilmer County kind of finally had a game where they kind of put it all together. And, Cameron hadn't had that type of game all year, and it kind of just...
And they play who they can play. I mean, they're way out there, and you can't go all over the country playing games, so you got to play somebody. And we don't want to tell Moneypenny that, by the way. But, Cameron just plays who they can play. I mean, you can't fault them for that. But a good year for them. And
10-0. I mean, that's...
Can't beat that.
Yeah.
So, Gilmer County. But the problem with that is Gilmer County has to take on the number 8 seed, Wheeling Central. And we don't have to know anything about Wheeling Central to know that Wheeling Central is probably the odds-on favorite to win the whole thing.
Yep.
So I would say, tall task for the Fighting Titans of Gilmer County. I believe it will be. But we'll follow up on these next week and talk about our semifinal matchups, and going forward, we'll investigate these single A teams a little bit closer once it gets down.
My bad on that, Coach.
Well, I'm the same way. I don't know much. It used to be all I did was single A.
That's all I did too.
And now being over here, I focus more on the AAA. And then there's no single A schools left anymore. They're all gone. So it's kind of hard to focus on them a whole lot. All right, we're going to get a break in here. When we come back, we will have our Athlete of the Week for this week. Gino's kind enough to sponsor that, so it's Gino's Pizza, Courtside with Coach Crist, Athlete of the Week. We'll announce that one right after this break, and then, of course, we'll have our regular segment, our house call with Dr. Crist on. I think Dr. Crist got a pretty interesting topic tonight. Don't want to let it all slip out in case we have a caller, but, there's a lot of, you always have that I wouldn't call it a saying, but it's a thought process people have about athletes, and you hear the word dumb jock all the time. And as coaches, you hear a lot of other people talk about, well, they're football players, they get the grades, blah, blah, blah. You hear that. So what he's going to talk about a little bit tonight is this Wonderlic test that the NFL gives their players and who actually scores the best on those tests.
Okay.
And how the perception of dumb jock may not necessarily be true. And, as a former, I wouldn't call myself an athlete, but a former player in high school, I didn't consider myself to be a dumb jock. I don't know about you, but I didn't. Anyway, Dr. Crist will be here coming to us from Birmingham, Alabama, or actually, I guess Hoover, Alabama is where he's from. He'll be talking to us tonight about the dumb jock syndrome, I guess we'll call it. Have to have an official name for it since psychology stuff. And who knows, we may have a special caller calling in, as we sometimes do. So let's get us a break here from Pinheads on the Gorge. Again, ladies' night here, lots of bowling going on, good food, good grub, good booze, good soda, whatever you want. Come on out and enjoy some fancy delights.
Yes, sir.
What's the name of that sandwich we get? The meat muffin. Come and get you a meat muffin.
That's you.
Come and get you a meat muffin. I love me a meat muffin. All right. We'll come back here after these brief messages. Stay with us. You're watching Courtside with Coach Crist on the New River Network. We'll be back. Welcome back to Courtside with Coach Crist. I'm Greg Crist, along with my good buddy Dave Gorby, my co-host on the show. And tonight we're coming to you again live from Pinheads on the Gorge here on Jones Avenue in Oak Hill. Great place to eat, good fun. If you like to bowl, come on out and bowl you a little bit. Good drinks. It's a good atmosphere. It's a cool place to be. We were talking about the football playoffs. Gorby, you guys already jumped into basketball season. It's well on its way to being the first week out of the books.
I had 1 week off and got right back into it.
Hey, what? It'll make you an old man pretty quick.
Yeah.
Because when I first started, I coached all three. I coached football, basketball, and baseball, and it about killed me.
And the crazy thing is, I think we'll go next week, and then the following Tuesday, I think, is our first scrimmage.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's
here. It's here.
It's on us.
Yeah.
It's here, so.
Yeah, you don't have a lot basketball-wise. You don't have that long time period there between start of practice and games. Of course, basketball is a little bit different because the kids play pretty much year-round in summer leagues and that kind of stuff. So they're playing, so it's not a physical conditioning thing or anything like that. And then if you can get all your kids, which is hard to do, but you get them all together. And, I was fortunate when I coached basketball that probably 90% of my players didn't play football. So I was able to go to camps in the summer and have the whole team. And then when we had they just had started that week when you could actually coach them, you could actually practice, and now it's a little different, but you still have all that playing time. We always have our Athlete of the Week. We want to announce that for you now. This week's Athlete of the Week was a young man by the name of Josh Dickerson. Josh Dickerson's a quarterback for Midland Trail. Josh was, I believe, 12 for 16 for 166 yards and one touchdown. So not a bad night for him. And I'll tell you something else about him. They had a play where there was a pass. They went to sling the quarterback down. He was trying to pass. They slung him down. His foot hit the ball. Josh Dickerson picked it up, took it back for a score, but they said they blew the whistle and caught him down.
Hey.
I think it was an interception. Anyway, hold on here, Gorby. Looks like we got us an audience caller. Hello, this is Courtside with Coach Chris. Who am I speaking with?
I say now, hey now there, Coach.
Well, if I didn't know, Horn Leghorn. How you doing?
I'm good, Coach. Yes, I'm a first-time cackler.
Oh, a first-time cackler. I got that. I threw a little joke in there. I got it. First-time cackler. Yep.
I'll tell you now, Coach. You may not know this, but I Googled it, and apparently I'm a special breed of Italian chicken.
Oh.
Preferably, not one that ends up on a concoction of chicken marsala.
I got you. Yeah, hopefully not. Yeah. I think that leghorn is you're kin to foghorn leghorn. It goes down a long line of famous chickens, but I think that's a special kind of chicken there in itself, a leghorn, I believe.
Yes, sir, Coach. It's an Italian chicken, if you will. Now, I tell you, son. I want to say hi to that there Gorby fella.
All right.
I say now, Coach. He's a great co-host. I listen to you, but when it comes to four-way stops, he caused more confusion than a mouse in a burlesque show.
A mouse in a burlesque show. Yeah.
I tell you. I tell you, Coach. Now I tell you, son. That Gorby gets picked on a lot, so I'm sure he asks you all the time about who's responsible for this unwarranted attack on his person. Son, I tell you now, son, it's me.
Yep, it is you. Yep. Yeah, he does.
It is me.
He does ask that often. Yeah, you're right. He asks that a lot. How come I get attacked all the time?
Yeah, that's right. Well, I tell you now, Coach. Now, you let me know when I come to something that actually interests you.
Okay. Okay, I'll let you know. We always have our caller on, Dr. Crist. Don't know if you have a question for him tonight or not, but if you do, fire away.
Well, all right, Coach. Now I say, Coach, pay close attention to me, Coach, because sometimes you guys are about a burrito short of a combination platter.
All right. We'll pay attention.
Yeah, okay. Keep interrupting me there, Coach, now that you found something interesting to talk about.
All right, go ahead.
Right. Now I know how Mr. Gorby feels. My question for Dr. Crist is, what role does intelligence play in sports, especially the pros, because most of them boys are about as strong as an ox and just about as smart.
Yep, that's what they say, yeah. Call them the dumb jocks. Yeah, it's a perception that people have of athletes. And my good friend Gary Griffiths was kind enough to chime in and tell me I'm looking for the word perception. A lot of people have that perception of athletes that they're not very smart. So, yeah, Dr. Crist is going to be talking about that tonight. So it's neat that you ask about it. Me and Gorby are always fascinated by our callers calling in and having that premonition about what the question's going to be. So, yeah, Dr. Crist will be talking about the Wonderlic test that the NFL players have to take.
That's right, Coach. So I say now, boy, let me tell you, I know this call has to end soon because you want one of them there meat platter muffin or whatever it is you boys been eating over there.
Yeah.
But you guys, I know you need your time because you guys, Coach, you cover now. I tell you now, you cover about as much as a flapper's skirt in high wind, and I know you need your time.
Yep.
And so hey, there's my neighbor Poe. Now, he's a nice guy, but he's about as sharp as a sack of wet mice, I tell you now. Posey, I say now go away, boy. You bother me.
All right, Carhorn,
Okay,
we're going to let you go, buddy. And
yeah, son. Now, let me tell you, son, I'm going to go catch me a movie. See, I bet it's a chick flick.
Yeah, it probably is.
I tell you now, son, that cracked me up.
Yeah. You are a funny one, that's for sure. All right, Carhorn,
right.
We appreciate you. Appreciate
Yes, sir. Adios, chicken pluggers.
All right, we'll talk to you later. Good to talk to you, Carhorn. So that's Car.
Yeah, you too. Cock-a-doodle-doo.
All right. Carhorn, Leghorn calling in there from who knows where. Good stuff. So he needs to find out about the intelligence levels in sports, what a role that plays. We get Dr. Crist on here in just a few minutes. We're going to ask him that question. He's been researching that topic a little bit for us, so he'll get on here and discuss it. So let's get a quick break in here. When we come back, we'll have our segment we call House Call with Dr. Crist. Dr. Crist is going to talk about intelligence in athletics and what the perceptions and maybe the misperceptions are. So I hope you'll stay with us here on Courtside with Coach Crist. I'm Greg Crist. That's Dave Gorby. Coming to you live from Pinheads on the Gorge tonight here on Jones Avenue in Oak Hill. Stay with us. We'll be back after these messages. Welcome back to Courtside with Coach Crist, Greg Crist, Dave Gorby, coming to you live from Pinheads on the Gorge tonight. Ladies' night here at the bowling alley. If you want a good cold beverage, legal beverage, you want a good meat muffin, some food, pizza, come on out. Great atmosphere, great food. All right, we're at the time point, Mr. Gorby, in the show when we have our segment called House Call with Dr. Crist. And Dr. Crist calling in from Alabama, just getting over a touch of sickness right now, but he's on top of his game, I'm sure. Tonight he is scheduled to talk about intellect and athletes and how there's misconceptions, misperceptions about athletes and their intelligence. And he's been researching a little bit of that and is going to talk to us about that. So, Dr. Crist, welcome to the show and take it away.
All right. Thanks for having me. I appreciate it. Yeah, see, it's a really good question because I think you're right. There's this perception about athletes not being intelligent that you mentioned, the dumb jock kind of kind of syndrome or stereotypes, I guess.
Right.
And so let me talk first about what intelligence actually is, because I think there's even misconceptions about that as well. Intelligence tests were invented a long time ago, probably over 100 years ago, and they were designed specifically to predict success in school.
Right.
That's all they were used for. And in fact, they do that extremely well. If you score high on an intelligence test, chances are you're going to do really well in school. So they've been very consistent about predicting those things. But over time, we started to try to apply intelligence to a lot of different things. You mentioned the Wonderlic. I have probably administered, I would say, 2,000 or 3,000 Wonderlics in my career. So I'm very, very familiar with that test. Now, the IQ tests, what they do is they tend to focus on two things. Verbal intelligence, like understanding words and general knowledge and verbal logical reasoning, and then analytical intelligence, that is with numbers and so on. But I think what we've come to realize is that intelligence is much bigger than that. Intelligence does have to do with things like motor skills and motor memory. I've also said that when a quarterback drops back to throw a long pass and the receiver is running down the sidelines to try to catch that ball, both the quarterback and that receiver are calculating complex mathematics at some level in their brain. They just don't know it.
Yeah.
But it's happening. It has to happen.
That's the way I am, Gord. I concoct all these mathematical things in my brain. I just don't know it.
Yeah.
There you go. There you go.
There you go.
I'm kind of like Jethro, ought from ought leaves ought,
There you go.
That's my mathematical calculations. Dr. Crist can tell you stories about my algebra expertise back when I was in high school, if you ever want to sit down and hear that story.
One of my favorite students.
Yeah. The worst math student ever existed. Funny thing is, though, a few years later, I was actually teaching a math class, Algebra 1 class, and actually, through teaching it, I actually learned how to do it. Pretty amazing.
That's right, yeah. Starts to make sense then.
Yeah. Because I was worried to death kids were going to know more than me until I got in there and realized that they didn't even know how to do their multiplication tests. So I had to draw the little map of the multiplication tables, 2 times 2, and teach them all that first before we got into the hard stuff. Yeah. But, all right. Sorry to interrupt. Go ahead.
That's all right. If you remember, I was also teaching my girlfriend, who's now my wife, in that class too. So,
yep, sure do.
So anyway, we know that intelligence is a lot more than that. And so what's happened is now coaches and all these people who are into analytics have started saying, well, maybe this does have something to do with how athletes perform. Maybe there's something to it. And the one league, as you mentioned, that has taken this to that extreme is NFL. And the NFL has been giving the Wonderlic intelligence test to players at the combine for like 30 or 40 years. They've been doing it. And they've been doing it so much they have a lot of data on how well people perform based on their scores. And they've actually come up with what they call, passing grades for that. So you want to guess who needs to have the highest score?
I'm not
on an NFL team, one position?
I'm not going to guess because we've already talked about it. So, Gorby, did I tell you?
You got a guess?
What was that?
Who scores the highest on that in the NFL players in the combines?
O-lineman.
What position?
He said O-lineman.
O-lineman. It's a good general guess. It's actually offensive tackle.
Offensive tackle. Yep.
So I was right.
He's the offensive line coach. That's why I said that.
Yeah, there you go. So offensive tackles, and they're followed by the center, then quarterback, and then offensive guards.
Wow.
So it's all those players right there. Those are the ones who are expected to have the highest scores.
And most people you guess would almost instinctively say quarterback.
Right.
Yeah,
right.
But that's not necessarily the case by a long shot.
Necessarily the case. And if you think about, like at the pro level, how many things those offensive linemen have to know.
Yeah.
How many things they have to remember, the complexity of the plays. A playbook in the NFL might be 200 pages long.
Yep.
And those guys have to remember every single play. They have to know exactly what their assignments are for every single play. And it's a lot more complex than people realize at that level. You mentioned when you were introducing me that I lived in Hoover. I now actually live in Alexander City, Alabama, but I lived in Hoover. And Hoover High School has had one of the best high school football teams in the country for a long time.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
They're typically ranked, in the top 25 in the United States every year.
Yep.
And if you ever go watch one of those games, those guys look like they're playing college level football. I mean, it is high level, complex offensive schemes, complex defensive schemes. It's pretty amazing how much goes into that. So these kids are getting groomed really, really early on for the complexity of football.
Yep.
Yeah. Now, as far as the other sports, NBA, baseball, they're actually starting to come around. There are a number of NBA teams that use the Wonderlic. Not clear how many, but it's not a league-wide thing. But there's this new test that come out called the AIQ, and it's based more on the type of intelligences that we would associate with athletics, that muscle memory, that ability to track things, that ability to respond to situations and make quick decisions based on what they see in front of them, which all are related to intelligence.
Yeah, and that all kind of fits in with the analytics and all that, kind of all goes together.
Absolutely. And people are starting to see more and more of the value of that as they go along. And the more we get into it, the more we see this really, really high correlation between people being able to decide, make quick decisions, and react, in addition to having all the physical skills.
Right.
Those mental skills turn out to be just as important, if not more, in a lot of cases.
Wow. That's interesting. And Gorby knows that. He said everything. Yeah, I teach him the intrinsic, all the X's and O's and all the how complicated it is. And Gorby does all that with the offensive line at Oak Hill, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Right, Gorby?
Yeah. Absolutely. I do.
You got them ready.
Mm-hmm.
I'd hate to give no offense to our high school team and any of these high school teams around there, any team I ever had, I would hate to have given them a Wonderlic test and see what their scores would have been.
Well, they do tend to weed them out the further up they go, right?
Yeah. I was gonna say I don't know how we would have fared with that. I could have thrown the data, all the analytics. I could throw it all out the window with my bunch. So, all right, good stuff as always, man. That's interesting stuff, and probably a whole lot more to talk about on that topic, I would guess.
Yeah, there actually is. Yeah, we may delve into a little bit more later. But,
I was gonna say that
the Wonderlic is a particularly interesting test, though. It's pretty interesting. See, I use it to predict success in business, and it's the same thing. It has to do with, are you able to handle complex information? Are you able to make quick decisions? Are you able to figure problems out on the fly? All those things are really important.
I wonder if you could give it to me and Gorby on here and see if we predict any success of maybe being major TV stars or something.
Yeah, probably. But we probably wouldn't need that test.
No, we have that now. Hey, Gorby, cut his segment down to 6 minutes.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
All right, we're going to let you go. We appreciate that information. You have a question, Gorby?
No, like you're telling me like I'm running the show here.
You're my Stugots, man. All right. Appreciate it, Dr. Crist. That was good stuff, as always.
All right, y'all take care.
All right, take care. I love you.
Love you too. Bye.
All right, Dr. Crist coming to us from, where did he say in Alabama? He always corrects me on that. And
Allegheny? No, it's an Allegheny.
He always corrects me, and I can't remember what it is. I mean, he lived in Hoover forever, and then when I say Hoover now, he's like, well, I used to live in Hoover. Now I live in some other place, which I can't remember what it was called. All right, let's get a break in here real quick. When we come back, we're going to have former WVU great Darryl Truck Bryant on the show with us, and we're looking forward to that. I know, Gorb, I know you're looking forward to it as much as I am. We like to have these guys on. It's fun to talk to him. Always fun to talk to him. And he was a blast last time we had him on, so we're going to put the pressure on him. He's got to live up to those expectations. So when we come back, we'll have Darryl Truck Bryant, former WVU great, here on Courtside with Coach Chris, Greg Crist, Dave Gorby. We'll be back to Pinheads here in just one moment. Stay tuned.
Yeah, maybe not.
All right. Welcome back to Courtside with Coach Crist. I'm Greg Crist. It's Dave Gorby. We're coming to you live from Pinheads on the Gorge tonight. It's ladies' night here at the bowling alley, and the women are here knocking down some brews and rolling some balls and getting right. And good place to be. Good atmosphere, good food. Good time, Dave. We got coming here. And this is what makes a good time. This is what makes it even better. Every now and then we get these guests on here. In the last couple of weeks, we've had some good ones. Had Warren Baker last week, WVU Hall of Famer. We had Steve Newberry on, Hall of Fame football player for WVU. This time, we're getting to have another guy who maybe will be in the Hall of Fame up there at WVU at one point in time. A former WVU basketball player, WVU great, and I think pretty much a fan favorite everywhere. I know these fans here, he's a favorite of. But we're talking about none other than Darryl Truck Bryant. And, Truck, we appreciate you taking a little bit of time to join us tonight.
Oh, no problem, man. I'm here. I'm here for the people. You know that.
I heard that. And we had you on a couple of years ago. I was mentioning it to you. We did a little radio show, and we was lucky enough. And I can't remember who hooked us up with you, but we were able to get you on. It might have been my son, somebody he knows. But anyway, we had a blast that night. That's why I was excited to get you back. You played at WVU between 2008 and 2012. A lot of people may not know this, but as a senior, you ended up averaging almost 20 points a game, 19.4 points a game, 2.7 assists, 3 rebounds a game. Like I said, I don't know that a lot of people remember that, but I sure remembered. You was a heck of a player. He went on and played, had a long career overseas, really. You bounced around over there for several years. Sure made some good money and banked it. Now you're living on Easy Street, I'm guessing.
Yes, sir, man. You nailed it. I mean, I'm just enjoying life right now. I'm gonna go back to play eventually at some point.
Oh, okay. Yeah, well, I was going to ask you if you thought you may end up playing some more because you're still a relatively young guy.
Yeah, I'm 31 now. I'm getting older, so I'm starting to feel everything.
Well, yeah, athletic old is older than like me people old. Like I'm 60, but I don't look a day over 70. You know what I mean? And when you get up in your 30s as an athlete, this kind of starts taking its toll on the old body just a little bit. So, well, hang in there. I know you got plenty left in you. It'd be awesome to see you play some more. And what most people around here want to hear when we talk to these, all you guys that played at WVU, and again, we've talked to a bunch of them, football players, basketball players. We've had Kevin Jones, John Flowers. We've talked to Joe Mazzulla's a good friend of mine, and we've talked to him a lot. And but we get to talk to a lot of you guys, and people around here want to know. They want you to reflect on your time at WVU and what that meant to you and what it was like playing up there.
So honestly, I chose West Virginia because it felt like a family atmosphere, great coaching staff, close to, not too far from New York where my mother could make it to the game.
Right.
But I also had some great people. You mentioned KJ, that's one of my best friends still to this day. I speak to almost everybody that was on my teams.
Awesome.
I mean, some relationships that I'll never lose in my life, and the play for a Hall of Fame coach, and then such a great university.
Yep. We have some questions here in a minute about your friendship with Kevin Jones. It's going to be one of our questions later on. But you mentioned playing for a Hall of Fame coach, Coach Huggins. Everybody wants to know what that was like. What was it like playing for Coach Huggins?
It was great. I mean, hell of a guy. I mean, I know he had his problems during his career, but that's anybody. Yep. Anybody has problems during it. I mean, problems in life. So same thing, just in a microscope. But for me, he's a hell of a guy, a father figure, and did nothing for me. And still helping me to this day. Yep.
He, I think a lot of people look at him and see him as so hardcore, but I think there were some moments in some big games on national TV that kind of changed that perception of him just a little bit. And I know I've heard a lot of players say, yeah, he was tough, but it was tough love, and it was tough teaching. And the next question on Coach Huggs, I want to ask you, do you think that from the time that you've played until now, because now we're dealing with this transfer portal and players get mad at their coach or they don't get enough playing time, they just jump in the portal and go somewhere else. To us, I don't know, we're not experts or anything, but to me it looks like Coach Huggins might have changed just a little bit in the way he presents himself, the way he coaches, because you don't really see him, getting real animated on the sidelines anymore like you used to. And I just wonder if you've noticed that, or if you see a difference in the way he coaches now than when he coached you.
Yeah, I mean, obviously the times have changed. I always say this, that they was harder on us, but I mean, it's a different era with kids, and I guess he's just adjusting to the game. But I mean, he's always going to be hard on you regardless.
Right.
But it's for a good reason. He want to win, and obviously when I play here, me and my teammates wanted to win. So I mean, it worked out for us.
Right. You speaking of this transfer portal, I'm sure you still watch a lot of college basketball and you see what's going on. How do you think this is going to impact the game? What do you think the effects of this transfer portal is going to be? Because I think it's going to probably be more significant in football, but especially at WVU. But basketball is going to affect as well. What do you think about that? I know you watch the game still.
I'm gonna tell you something that nobody even know. And so basically, I was young. They was looking for somebody to run the point guard. They brought a guy in here, our mom ambassador. I'll never forget it. They was bringing him in there so I could learn from him.
Right.
And I'm tough. I'm from Brooklyn, New York, and I'm not gonna let nobody run me out of no situation. So I think the transfer portal is soft. I think that's soft.
Right. So
I never even thought about transferring. I said, they bring somebody here, we're going to see who's going to start, because I'm not going nowhere.
I heard that. Yeah, and you wish if you have players on your team that have that mentality, you're going to be good, I mean, if you've got, like I said, this transfer portal thing, I agree with you. I think, it's just people that they're not getting as much playing time as they think, or they're not as good as they thought they were. And I'll just go somewhere else and play. I'm not putting up with this, and it's crazy. And to me, it really handcuffs the coaches in as far as discipline and maintaining that control and stuff. How are you going to discipline somebody? When all they got to do is jump up and leave. So, but I think Coach Hugs has adjusted to it, and I think as far as the transfer portal, so far it seems to me like he's used it to our advantage. I mean, it seems like we're a little bit better off because of it. So far this year, it seems like anyway. So, but anyhow, do you watch a lot of college basketball still?
Yeah, I'm actually watching Marquette and Ole Miss right now.
There you go.
Of course, watch us play tonight.
Yep. We've got that on TV here as well. We're watching it, and we'll watch the Mountaineers here in just a minute. But you spent some time overseas, and you're talking about maybe playing some more. What was that experience like? I know I was reading a list of places that you've played, and pretty interesting list, and looks like some pretty interesting places you've been in your life.
Yeah, I think the best part about it is obviously the money, and then getting to travel for free and being able to play basketball for a living. But it's also tough on me because I have 2 young daughters, and it's a lot of time with them because I'm overseas. Yeah, you do miss time, that's for sure. We talked to Joe Alexander one night. He was in where was he at, Dave? In Israel, yeah. Mm-hmm. He set his alarm for 3 o'clock in the morning, got up to talk to us on the show that night. That's pretty awesome. But yeah, he talked about the difficulties of being away from home, home, and especially like you, if you have kids, man, it's got to be tough, Sure.
But I'm sure the money's pretty good, so hey, might have to do it for a little while. Yeah. So did you stop? Just out of curiosity, did you take a break from it to spend time with your girls, and then as they get older, you plan on going back, or was this the way things worked out?
No. I played last year, so I was gone only for like 3-4 months.
Okay,
last year.
I got you.
So I'm a vet. So whenever I'm ready to leave, I'm gonna leave, but I'm not ready to leave until about next month. But I mean, it's been great. I'm gonna play for about a year or 2, and then I'm done. I'm gonna retire. I mean, I have my own podcast. I own a cleaning company. I'm trying to have some rentals too. So honestly, I'm thinking about business. I'm in a business mindset right now.
All right, gotcha. Yeah, you're still on my thunder, man, because I was getting ready to ask you what you up to after basketball. So you already told us you got your own cleaning company. Let me get my pen here real quick. What's the name of this cleaning company?
Truck Bryant Cleaning Crew.
There you go.
Wow.
It's easy right there.
We might have been able to guess that. Truck Bryant Cleaning Crew. We're going to, is this industrial cleaning, home cleaning? What is this?
It's everything.
Everything. Okay. I need you to come down to my house, spend a day or 2. Jeez. But yeah, we'll get that out there and advertise it just a little bit. Now, do you still live in New York? Or you said you're from Brooklyn?
No, I live in Morgantown now.
You're in Morgantown. Okay, awesome. Well, that reminds me of something I was supposed to ask you. My brother got a selfie with you up there a few months back. he was going to buy some toys for some kind of charity that and he ran into you, and he had a guy by the name of Dennis Cornwell with him. Do you know Dennis by any chance? That was the question I was supposed to ask.
Probably by face. I'll have to see him. I meet a lot of people.
Well, Dennis is one of those kind of guys you never forget if you know him, because I've known him for about 20 years. I used to spend a little time in Morgantown myself back in my younger days, and Dennis and I did a little running around. But they ran into you up there. My brother got a selfie, and I was supposed to get that selfie and send it to you and say, "Hey, you remember this guy?" But of course I forgot. But anyway, yeah, he was pretty excited about that. My brother was. All right, I know you got things to do, and we're getting close to being out of time. So I got one more segment here I do with all of our interviewees, and I hope you'll play along with us. But we have a segment we call Shoot the Three, and what we do, and that comes from my basketball coaching background, what we do is we have a segment where we ask you 3 questions, rapid fire questions that have nothing to do with anything we've talked about tonight. Mr. Gorby here sitting beside me, he's about 6'4", weighs about 285, 290. He's a big old dude. So if you don't get the questions answered within 30 seconds, he gets to deliver some kind of punishment on you. Now we know you're in Morgantown. We'll come looking for you.
No.
Oh, no, is that not it?
This guy did enough. We're not going to punish this guy.
Okay, we won't punish you. We'll let you slide on the punishment then. All right. Anyway, if you're really willing to play along, we'll get ready with the Shoot the Three questions.
All right, I'm ready.
All right. If there was a song written about you and you only, what would the name of that song be?
Truck Yeah.
Oh, man.
My young son gonna love that. Yeah. All right, good answer. All right, question number 2. If you could be a fly on someone's wall and listen to their conversations, whose wall would it be?
Kevin Jones.
Okay, all right. Which is a good segue into our last question here. You and Kevin Jones are being placed in a police car with handcuffs behind your back. What would your friend John Flowers say that you two guys did to get in that police car?
Who knows? Who knows? I don't know.
All right. What would you say?
At a stripper party.
Okay, there you go. There you go. I was gonna say, what would you say you guys might have done? Last week.
Illegal stripper party.
There you go.
I was just joking.
You know, funny thing, you mentioned that. That reminds me of another story. I had John Flowers on one time years ago. I did a radio show. Well, you were on the radio show, but I interviewed him. He came down here to do a basketball camp with my son. My son's an assistant coach at University of Pikeville, and they were doing a little basketball clinic over at Midland Trail. So I said, well, I'll get him an interview, and I'll record this interview, and I'll use it for my show. Well, the station that we worked for back at the time was a Christian radio station. Now, the sports part of it, we just pretty much did what we wanted to, but the station itself was a religious station. Mm-hmm. So I'm over here interviewing, and I'm recording this interview. So I'm talking to him, and I'm like, what are you up to now? He said, well, I own this company. We do some pajama parties. And I'm like, oh, man, that sounds cool. I said, helping kids out. And he kind of grins. Yeah, I guess so, So we talk about these pajama parties. I said, well, dude, I'll get in here and I'll advertise those. Just let me know when you're having them, that sort of thing, So after we got done with this interview, I forwarded it to the lady at the station. She puts it in the computer with the recording and everything. So I walk out, and my son was listening to us. He's like, Dad, you know what a pajama party is, right? And I'm like, yeah, I guess. They get a bunch of kids together. He's like, no. He said it's a bunch of adults. And he said they wear their pajamas to the party, but they don't leave them on very long. And I'm like, oh, my gosh. So I'm texting the lady at the station saying, wait a minute, take the part about the pajama party out. So the next time I talked to him, I was like, John, come on, man. It's a Christian radio station, dude. He said, well, you didn't ask. Yeah, and I had him on this show not too long ago, and it was hard we were talking about the TBT. And I couldn't have talked to him because it sounded like he was eating wings or something in the mic, And he said he was just chewing gum, but he was hard to listen to. But anyway, all right. So you will say it was an illegal, what was it? Some kind of illegal party or something? John Flowers' pajama party. That's what we'll go with.
Party.
Okay, stripper party. There we go. There we go. All right, man. That was some good answers right there. And you did make it under 30 seconds, so Gorby won't have to. He won't have to punish you any. And I'm tickled to know that you're in Morgantown, because that means I can get you on here a lot more and talk a lot more. Because I'm sure we could find all kind of good topics to talk about, and we'll definitely plug your cleaning company for you for sure.
Appreciate you. I appreciate you.
that's about all the, we don't have a whole lot of money, so that's about the only kind of reimbursement we can offer is to plug your show on our station. So, and if you want to get on and watch it, go on YouTube or Facebook or Roku TV and tune into New River Network, and you'll be able to find the show on there. So we appreciate you, Truck, and it's always fun to talk to you. And we next time we're going to keep a little bit more time back for you, and we hope to talk to you again soon, man. We really do appreciate it.
All right, man. Good to talk to y'all. Speak to y'all later.
All right, Truck. Take care.
See you, man.
Truck Bryant, WVU great. Truck Bryant, and fun guy, man. I told you the last time we had him on, we had a blast.
Yes, I remember that night. Yeah,
yeah, we had a blast. So it was a lot of fun. So he's a fun guy. He's enjoyable, and usually these guys are. We don't know them, but they've turned into men now. They're grown men.
Well, like you say, he's 31 years old.
Yeah, 31. I mean, I remember him. He's a college basketball player, 18, 20 years old, So pretty cool to talk to these guys, and I always enjoy that. So thanks to Truck Bryant for taking the time to join us. All right, I think, if I'm not mistaken, looks like we are out of time. 8:30 on the dot, Dave. How about that?
Man.
I didn't even look, and just now saw that. 8:30.
That's good.
Perfect timing.
Yeah, perfect timing.
We're trying to talk Darren in a little extra half hour, so when we have these good guests on, we can just keep it rolling, so far,
there's a game on.
That's right. We do have games to watch tonight, that's for sure. That's going to do it for another night. Dave enjoyed the input on the football games. We'll look forward to doing that again next week. Yeah, we'll do it again next week. You got plenty of time to prepare.
Yeah.
Got a whole week. So we'll talk about that again next week, the semifinal round. We'll let you know where we're going to come from next week, and because we don't really know yet. We always work on that during the week to figure out where we're going to go. We'll try to let you know that.
Well, next week it won't be Thursday.
That's right, because we got Thanksgiving next week. We either do Wednesday or we do Wednesday. Okay, so next week the show will be on Wednesday. So that gives us a short week, Dave. Like these guys are practicing for after Monday Night Football. It's a short week for us. So we got to go out to squeeze some stuff in here. Anyway, we do appreciate everybody for tuning in. We always have a good time here on Courtside. We hope that people have a good time watching us. If you do watch regularly, get the word out there. Tell people to tune in and watch it. I think once people watch it, they may have some input and they may keep watching. And because we do try to make it fun. We enjoy doing it. So hopefully people enjoy watching it. I'm Greg Crist. That's Dave Gorby. Hope you have a great weekend, everybody. Good night from Courtside with Coach Crist.